pretty sure it's recording. Just want to double check. Yep, that's recording right now. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. 6, 9, 11, 14, about 13 and a half. 16 and a half. Okay, so we have about one half of the class being here. Okay, but we are going to have to start now. Is traffic still bad because of Orangeville? Because Orangeville is blocked. I think it's still blocked, right? So it's possible that some people did not know about it, and it has been blocked the whole day already. There was a water main problem, and they flooded the whole street, and they have to block up the whole street to get it fixed. Okay, so two things, at first. First thing is the homework assignment that's due today. I will talk about the solution as soon as possible. The second thing would be a new homework assignment is recursion with return value. We'll take a look at that program. I will probably work out, an example that is a little bit simpler than that one. But that's your new homework assignment. It's due next Monday. Because we are still meeting on Wednesday. That means if you guys get started early, you can still ask questions about the homework that is due next Monday. I will be here on Wednesday. Some of you may not. Some people who are listening to just watching the video capture probably will not be here. Question?
No, I was just going to ask if you had class because of Thanksgiving. Because we don't have class.
Well, fortunately, Thanksgiving does not affect this class. It does affect the Tuesday, Thursday classes as well as Friday-only classes, but not this one. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the bi-val, bi-ref homework assignment. Okay, so here we have the homework assignment. And what I'll do is I will just go ahead and save it in today's folder. So this way everything will be available at the end of the class. Okay. Are there any questions from you guys regarding this homework assignment before I start working on the solution? Because if there are general questions about the concepts and stuff like that, we should talk about that first. Yep.
The x's and the y values, do they switch at the second invocation?
Second invocation. There's only one invocation.
When invoking S1,
On line 13, right. Do they switch?
Yeah, because X goes to Y.
Well, that's a notation to specify how do we set up the bi-ref parameters. Okay, the one on the left-hand side is called the argument, which is what you use to supply to the parameter. The one on the right-hand side is called the parameter, and that depends on how the subroutine is defined. So by the time we get to that statement, we'll know. We'll talk about how it is all set up. Any other questions? No other questions? So we'll go ahead and take a look at the trace. Not a whole lot of people turn in this homework assignment. So
I tried to log in like 9 times and Moodle would not let me log in to upload it. I sent you an email and we did a voiceover call.
Huh.
As of 5:10, I still cannot log on. That's why I was late to class. I was trying one more time.
Does anyone else have a similar problem? You had a similar problem. Now, you could not log in, or you could log in, but you could not upload the file.
I can't even log into Moodle.
You could not log into Moodle.
Like 4 times now.
Okay. Well, let me check the state of the server first, because I want to.
Well, you logged in, so obviously it's fine now.
No, but it could be running out of space or something that I'm not aware of.
Oh.
As far as I know, or as far as it is reflected here, everything is fine. I cannot see anything. wrong with the server. If you look at the time intervals between these, these are basically chronic jobs of the server. So it was not able to run some of the chronic jobs, but I was able to log in right here. But your problem was that you could log in, but you could not upload. Okay. Did anyone else?
That happened to me a few weeks ago. Remember?
You could not upload. Which browser are you using, or were you using?
I'm using Internet Explorer.
Ah, that's why. Use Firefox instead.
Yeah, if you know
With my phone, I was using Chrome, and then I tried Firefox,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one. So
Yeah, because we've actually found that problem, with Internet Explorer authenticating into Moodle. I thought it was a localized problem with computers in the lab, but as it turns out, it is more widespread than it should be. So that's why I recommend everyone to switch to Firefox, at least as far as using Moodle is concerned. Use Firefox to connect to the server. Yep.
I uploaded mine at 5 just fine. So
With using,
I use Chrome.
you use Chrome? Okay.
Everything worked out. So
Well, with Internet Explorer, the symptom is going to be really tricky because you can type in any username and type in any password. It will come back not complaining it's a wrong password or authentication failure. It will just come back with no indication whatsoever. If you see that problem, that means your browser is the issue. It is not setting the cookies correctly, and as a result, there's no authentication in the process.
That's exactly what happened, and the site help told me to change my password. So
Mhm.
I tried that, and it still didn't help.
Yeah, with that sort of problem, I can actually verify that you tried to log in, but you could not turn in anything. So in this case, I can locate your. How do you spell your last name on Moodle?
WDD-ALDRICH.
Okay.
That's me.
Huh. So you could not get into the class, but if I.
Yeah, I have been trying.
Yeah, but if I look into your activity report, it will show that you actually accessed the website itself. No, I guess not. It could not even get past that stage.
No, it just says you are not logged in.
Huh.
You're not logged in. So I always look like a guest.
Huh. Okay. Well, try Firefox next time and see if that fixes the problem.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'll try that today. If I can get it, I'll send you an email.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the homework assignment, and this one does not have any comments. It does not need a comments column because there are no conditions and there's no print statement either. In this case, we'll start with line number as our first column. The first one is the first line to execute is the only line that is outside of the subroutine definitions on line 15. It invokes S2, which is it's kind of like main. All it does is to shelter the rest of the program so they don't have to start from outside of the invocation of S2. So we need to, yep.
when I looked at some of your examples, you started with line number 3, but didn't put anything after that.
Oh, yeah, like this one, there are no global variables to speak, to use the pre for.
Yeah.
So that's kind of optional once we don't have, global variables anymore.
All right.
So just for completeness, we'll put a pre here. The return line number is going to be post because line 15 is the last line already. And then we move on into the subroutine called S2. S2 will start execution on line 11, which is the first line that has any action. And that, I forgot one other thing, 2 other things. I forgot to allocate the local variables. So in this case, we have X, we have Y as local variables. Local variables are usually pretty easy to deal with, to set up, because they always start with an unknown value. Unlike parameters, which have their initial values specified by the invoke statements. On line 11, we assign a value of 5 to x. As a result, column C is changed to 5. On line 12, we change y or column D to 6. And then on line 13, we invoke S2, which is our other subroutine. So we have to set up the 3 columns. This time we have to set up 4 columns because we have a return line number. We have parameter y, x. We have parameter y as well as parameter z. So 4 columns have to be allocated this time. The return line number is line 14 because line 14 follows line 13. So that's the easier one to set up. We have parameter x specified by x plus y. So this time it is important to go back and say, okay, which x are we talking about and which y are we talking about? The important part is when you're looking at the the left-hand side of the right arrow, those particular items refer to the current context. In other words, the x and the y that I'm pointing out right here refers to the x and the y of the invocation of subroutine S2. Okay, the x and the y of subroutine S2 or the current invocation of subroutine S2 are column C and column D. And we are sorry. So that will be the sum of these two. So there will be 11 exactly. In other words, x plus y is doing nothing except to specify a value of 11. But 11 becomes the initial value of this by-val parameter to x. So in this case, x, which is passed by value in column F, would have an initial value of 11. Are there any questions about this step here? No questions? Okay. Y and Z are both passed by reference. We know that they're passed by reference because of 2 indicators. One, if you look into the subroutine, you can see that they're both passed by reference. The second clue is I use the double-sided arrow when I invoke the subroutine. The double-sided arrow is used only if the parameter, in this case y and z, they're by reference, passed by reference. So in this case, we have to figure out, okay, what is this x here? This x is now referring to the x of subroutine S2, and that x is living in column C. AKA column C would be parameter y. And then the other one is just right next to it because I'm using y to specify z. But this y refers to the y of S2, and it is currently living in column D. So the parameter z becomes an alias of column D. Are there any questions about these two, the passed by reference parameters? Okay, yep.
The passed by value and the passed by reference values are both in subroutine 1. We're working on subroutine 2.
We are setting up the parameters of subroutine 2.
Well, how can we do that if we haven't...
We execute this line in subroutine S2 because it is on line 13. Line 13 is inside the definition of subroutine S2. But subroutine S2 is invoking subroutine S1. As a result, it has to set up these columns before we continue execution in subroutine S1.
But subroutine S1 can't be invoked until everything's initialized. So
it is now. See, all 4 columns are now set up.
So X, Y, and Z are initializing out of subroutine 1, not subroutine 2.
Right, because remember the difference between a local variable and a parameter is with a parameter it is set up by the invoke statement possibly outside of the subroutine because it can be recursive.